Hey there, this is just a quick video about mental spelling, the card trick in which a spectator mentally spells to their thought of card. I have an easy way to add 9 cards to the top of the 6-card stack. And just in case you forget, the stack is the Ace of Clubs, the 6 of Hearts, the Jack of Spades, the 3 of Spades, the 5 of Diamonds, and the Queen of Diamonds. I had to look because sometimes I use different stacks. Anyway, you should be familiar with this. You're probably my student if you're watching this and you know how to do the mental spelling trick. So this is a supplement to the first video I made. I might compile one video later on. Not compile, but make another video. Anyway, here's how to do the add-on. I'll just do the presentation, and then you can see how I perform it. And the performance is more important than the actual way you get the cards to the top, because it's all patter. It's all presentation to get those cards on top. This is no sleight of hand. There's no sleight of hand to get the cards to the top. So let me show you. I'll just do the presentation. Okay. Now, as a skeptical magician, I don't believe that there is real magic. I know that sounds rather cynical, but there is no scientific evidence to show that there is actual magic in the world, right? But as a magician, I would like to show you something that actually looks like it might be real magic. This is really cool. So what I'm going to have you do is I need your help during this experiment. Now, I call it an experiment because it is almost like a psychic experiment, if you will. I'm going to ask you to, in a minute, in fact, right now, why not? I want you to reach down and cut off approximately half. It doesn't have to be exactly. In fact, I'd prefer that it's not exactly half, but reach down and cut off approximately half and put that half right there. Okay, good. Now I want to ask you a question. Let me mark that position. Do you personally believe in the power of predicting the future? And I don't mean an educated guess. I mean, do you believe that a human being has a magical ability, a supernatural power to be able to predict the future? No, you don't? I don't either. Like I said, there's no evidence to show that this can happen. But let's see what happens. I'm going to have you think of something in a moment, okay? Now, you randomly cut right here to this position. So let's use a few cards from that position, okay? All I'm going to have you do is think of one of these cards. Just a few cards, just so you can focus your thought. Think of one of these cards. Don't tell me what it is, all right? Now, let's say they're thinking of the 6 of Hearts, just as an example. 6 of Hearts is what they're thinking of, okay? You wouldn't say that during the presentation. Great. Now, now you're just thinking of one card. Don't say it, don't write it down. I want you to visualize that card. Are you doing that right now? Okay, good. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you, in a moment, I'm going to deal cards one at a time to the table. And for every single card I deal to the table, I want you to think of one letter of the card you're thinking of right now. Just think it. Don't say it out loud. So in other words, I'll give you an example. Let's say your card was the 10 of clubs. I would have you think of one letter. In your mind, you'd be thinking T-E-N-O-F-C-L-U-B. You get the point, right? Yes, you get the exact point. I want you to actually think of those letters, all right? Now let's start fresh. As I deal cards, just think of one letter of the card. Here we go. And stop me when you get to that card. Stop right there. Stop right there. Okay? This is the card you stopped on, right here. So for the first time, I want you to tell me, what was the card you were thinking of? Remember, you never said it. It was always in your mind. What was the card you were thinking of? The Six of Hearts? Interesting. The Six of Hearts. Let's see how well you did. So anyway, you get the point. Let me explain. I mean, if you already know how the trick is done, you know exactly what I'm doing. But let me outline it just in case. So let me reverse the order of these cards, actually, so we can get started again. Anyway, you'll notice a few subtleties. It's all patter, basically. So let's get back to that stack of cards. I believe it starts with the Ace of Clubs. Yeah. What was that stack? I know I have to actually cheat. Hold on for a second. It's relatively easy, but I still have to cheat. So the Ace of Clubs, Six of Hearts, Jack of Spades. There we go. Jack of Spades, yes. Three of Spades, Five of Diamonds, and Queen of Diamonds, of course. Okay. So anyway, you have that 6-card stack. Let me double check. Ace, 6, Jack, 3, 5, Queen. Yes. So you put all the cards on top. And we'll use the 6 of Hearts as the example again. So you have the 6-card stack here. And I'm done cheating. And so what you do a false shuffle. So step 1, you're pattering. And you can talk about, you not believing in magic powers because there really is no scientific evidence to show that it exists, yada, 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 as you continue to patter. Then just as you're doing that, give the deck a false shuffle. So what I just did there, of course, I split the deck, I false shuffled, retaining the 6 cards on top. Of course, you wouldn't do it that way, but you retain the 6 cards on top very casually. Usually I'll give the deck a false cut just as I'm pattering. I don't even look at the cards. I just give it a quick false cut. That way there is no question the deck is now in a random order. Now do the cross-cut force or the crisscross force, whatever you want to call it, you place the deck on the table. Okay, now don't forget, the 6-card stack is still on top. And you have them cut off half the deck here. Now you'll notice the subtle way I did this. I used time misdirection a couple of times. The first time was to throw them off just for a split second, where I interrupted myself. And the way I interrupted myself, hopefully I convincingly did it, is that I said, now do me a favor, just cut off about half right here and place it there. So after they cut it, start into your patter, where you're starting to ask them if they personally believe in the ability to predict the future, but interrupt yourself. That gives plenty of time for them to lose a little bit of track, which half is half, just for a second. But the point is you want to, quote, mark that position in a very casual way. Of course, that's everything in this trick. So the timing is this. I'll just do the patter so you can see once again. Now, let me ask you, in fact, before we begin, can you lift off approximately half and place it right there? Okay, good. Now I want to ask you, do you personally, well, let's mark that position. Do you personally believe in blah, blah, blah? See how that is? So just look at this video to see how I timed it. Very casually interrupt yourself. Now comes the actual time misdirection, where you continue the question after you say, let's mark that position. You say, do you personally believe that human beings have the magical ability, the supernatural power to predict the future, right? And once you do that, then plenty of time has passed. They lose track of which half is which. You say, now you cut to this position, and I tap on it, I point to it, right? Say, let's use a few cards from that position. Don't say 6 cards, just say a few cards, right? Never bring attention to numbers or counting during this trick. So just sort of count 3, you see 3 there, count 3 more. That's all you do, right? Don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Whether or not you count out loud. Then you show them, you say, now we don't need the whole deck, just think, don't tell me, or write it down, just think of one of these cards. And of course you show them the cards. Now in this example, let's say it's the 6 of Hearts, okay? Now you put these cards on top of the pile from which they came, and then you just take the whole thing and put that on top, so they're on top again, okay? Now, at this point, you're going to need to add 9 cards to the top, and you obviously know what I did. I turned the deck face up, and this is all patter. It's easily covered because you're giving them an example of what you want them to do, right? Just so they understand the plot of the trick. This is awesome. So it's really natural. So you say, no, I want you to, now, and by the way, before you start count or dealing cards from the bottom, look in their eyes and really start pretending as if the trick is beginning. You say, I want you to focus, picture that card, visualize that card, see it, see it. In fact, at this point, you could also say, you know, I want you to visualize each letter of the card, right? And what I'm going to do, when you visualize each letter of the card as you spell it out, I'm going to have you think, not say, think of one card per letter as I deal cards to the table. And then at the end of that dealing, right when you reach the last letter, say stop, just stop me, okay? Now, by the way, I forgot to tell you, when I did the presentation, I forgot to say that last part about stopping. It's kind of important, but anyway, you probably noticed that. So now, as an example of what you're telling them to do, you say, let me give you an example, and then pretend to just off the top of your head, think of the 10 of clubs. Now, of course, it's not off the top of your head. The 10 of clubs has, what, 10 letters when you spell it out, including the word of, but remember, you stop shy of the last letter. That's a really subtle thing. So the way I do this, if you were to spell out 10 of clubs all the way to the S, that's too many cards. You don't want to put 10 cards on top of the stack. You need to put 9 cards on top of the stack. So here's how you do it. And you saw me do it before. You say, now, for example, let me show you, let's say your card was, oh, and by the way, this is a complete coincidence. I just noticed it now. So let's get rid of that. But of course, right? Oh, actually, that would work really well, in fact, if the 10 was on the bottom. So let's say your card was, the 10 of clubs. Let's just use that as an example. So actually, take advantage of that if that happens. Anyway, you say, let's say your card was the 10 of clubs. Notice the presentation there. You have to have some acting ability when you do magic. So you say, now let's say, and then your eyes sort of look in one direction like you're thinking, right? Remember, actors, and I'm not by any means a great actor, but just remember, you sort of have to act. So play the part and say, now let's, for example, if you selected the 10 of clubs, okay? Notice my eyes, my facial expression. I'm trying to say it believably. But then, of course, the 10 of clubs is not random. And you say, let's say you say that, think of the 10 of clubs. You're thinking of the 10 of clubs. You would think one letter for each card I deal. Now, when you do this, this confirms that this instructs them non-verbal, well, actually verbally, this instructs them in a subtle way to include the word of, right? So you say, for example, if you were thinking of the 10 of clubs, T, you'd be thinking one letter per card dealt. T, E, N, O, F, C, L, U, B. Now you'll notice you don't want to deal the 10th card, right? So I interrupt myself and I say, you get the point. Just say like, oh, you get the point. Then I still say the S, right? But I take the entire deck and I plop it on top when I say S. That way it kind of finishes it, right? So psychologically, they do hear me spell out the whole thing, so it's not too suspicious. So again, I'll just perform it one more time, this part of it. This is how you would say it. T, E, N, O, F, C, L, U, B. You get the point. S. Okay, now see how I did that very casually. And you just added 9 cards to the top right in front of them. Turn the deck face down and then just say, okay, so we can start fresh, and then just give the deck a false cut. You know how to do a false cut by now. If you don't, I'll tell you if you haven't taken that class yet. Now, there are 9 cards above your 6-card stack. So again, if they thought of, for example, the 6 of hearts, then have them think of one card mentally, including the word of, 1 card per letter in their mind, think. So of course, they're thinking S-I-X-O-F-H-E-A-R-T. and then the last letter, they'll stop your S. Set the S aside, whatever the card is, the last card. Like when they stop you, you won't know it's the last card until they stop you. But they stop you, then say, great, that's the last letter. And then just basically put this on top or put this on top. It doesn't matter. Bring all the attention to this card and say, now, which card were you thinking of? And then they say, and then you say for the first time, remember, you never wrote it down. You never said it. I never saw it. What was the card that was in your mind? They say the 6 of hearts. And then you pick it up like this. And I pick it up so I can see it first, so to make sure it actually, there wasn't any snafu. It's going to be right if you do this, if you practice. But they say 6 of hearts and then very slowly reveal the card. Now on video, you'd hold the card like that. But when they're here in real life, when they're watching you on your table, I heard, sorry for that delay. I actually heard something from these earphones, which I actually don't need. That threw me off. But anyway, yeah, if you're performing for them in person, simply do this. And slowly turn it over. Or you could actually pull it toward yourself to build the suspense a little more, and then turn it over. Don't even say a word. Don't underestimate this trick. This will blow people's minds. They don't think of math with this trick. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I know it's really casual, but I wanted you to have an easy way to add those 9 cards to the top.